Hi, everybody. Welcome to Profiling Evil by Mike King. I'm here with my good friend Chris McDonough, and we are looking forward to today's discussion on cadaver dogs. Chris, how you doing?
Mike, I'm doing great. It's great seeing you. And yeah, this is an exciting time. We've got a couple of great guests here from two really amazing organizations, Truth Seekers and Special Operations.
Yeah, so and before we bring those folks in, Chris, we just would like to remind everyone that you can get more information on all of our shows by going to our YouTube page, Profiling Evil, or our webpage, profilingevil.com, where you can register for updates and everything else. To those of you who so kindly donate and join our membership programs, we really appreciate all that you do to help and support us. It's making a difference, and I hope you're recognizing the quality of content that we're putting out. And of course, Chris, we always want to say subscribe and hit the like button, right?
Hit that button. Hit that button down there. And the thumb. Give us a thumbs up.
Yeah.
So where are we going, Mike? Code 33 here.
Let's get rolling. Why don't you bring in our guests and let's introduce them, Chris, and let's go right to work.
Absolutely. So we have Wendy Kessinger and Laura Mitchell here with us today. And Wendy is in New Mexico. And Laura is out there in Memphis, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. All right.
There's nothing like barbecue in the basement in Memphis.
It's amazing.
We are so excited to see you today. We're grateful.
And Wendy, the view is beautiful off the back deck. We understand that there'll be just a little bit of a lag in some of your audio because if you walk indoors, there are, did you say 7 dogs inside?
Yes, sir. 7. 4 bloodhounds, so it would get a little sloppy.
That's fantastic. Well, Chris, let's find out about these two.
Yeah, so we've got actually 2 sides of the house here, Mike. We have Laura, her organization. Laura, why don't you tell us a little bit about your organization and what exactly you do? And then Wendy will turn it over onto your side, if that works for you girls. That work?
Excellent.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
With my organization, we handle a lot of cold cases that have just dried up. We also have done recent runaways, things like that. If we feel that they need the dogs, whether it's cadaver or the bloodhounds, we'll get a hold of Wendy to go out. And basically what we do is, while Wendy is boots on the ground, we're the eye in the sky. We can track her with several apps that we have, plus make contact with the family, keep in contact with the family, explain some of the things that they have, what the police don't really explain to them or they have misinterpreted. We'll explain to them, and we stay with them as long as we can. There's still families that we've been working with for years that we still keep in contact with.
So when you say the difference between a cadaver dog and a bloodhound, I assume then by saying that they really have 2 separate missions, yes, and that they aren't very good at doing the other one's mission.
I know that the bloodhounds are for they're scent specific, so they would be doing more of the live finds and tracking, somebody that's missing. And with the cadaver dogs, it's totally different. And that, like I said, that's all Wendy there.
Yeah, and Wendy, with we understand that you followed your heart and kind of jumped in recently and showed up in the Colorado area. And we want to commend you for that, number one. Good for you. So tell us about, your organization and exactly tell us about your partners there and what they do.
Okay. Well, thank you for having us on. First off, our company is very small. I'm going to be attacked by flies. It won't stay on my head though. And we keep it very tight because, it gets into a little bit too much clicky. Our team being very small, I don't like bringing on a lot of people. I like people to come out, though, and be victims for us. And because we set up mock searches. Mm-hmm. So we kind of copy some of the searches that we have been on and set up different scenarios. And it's from boots on the ground, from the call to boots on the ground, to doing packaging of a patient when we make a find. To notify. We have law enforcement will come in with us. We'll have detectives there. We've had OMI come out with us and do these trainings, and it's really nice that we also invite the public to come out and watch.
And Laura, how does your organization kind of coordinate and collaborate with Wendy's organization?
Usually Wendy will have the police or families contact us. We gather as much information about the case as possible, what potential areas that need to be searched if they're bringing in the dogs, even potential suspects, because I want to make sure that Wendy has pictures of potential suspects, whether they are true or not, but we want to keep her and the dog safe as possible. I'll deal with the family and with the police. And when Wendy has a find, it's she sends me a picture. We use an app called Theodolite. So it's an exact location with longitude and latitude that will be sent to the police so they can come get the evidence. So it's not being touched. And that way everything's being preserved for court should it be needed.
Yeah, that chain of custody is critical, and those training records become critical as well. Am I right, Wendy?
Yes, absolutely. And our training records, each dog has their own books, but we use a small handbook like this we bring out. And so for each training that we do, everything is recorded right down to type of soil, weather, wind direction, humidity, everything.
Walk us through some of the stages of where how the dogs learn, from stage 1 to stage 2, and then eventually they get confidence, and then at some point they're voir dired as as basically cadaver dogs, right? I mean, and accepted in the courts.
Yes, our dogs are, like I said, the bloodhounds are scent specific, so they do our live finds. The border collies doing the cadaver work, I start them right from the get-go. 8 weeks, we're starting to do basic, sit, stay, watch, and then we move on doing block work, it's called. So we'll set out rows of cinder block or even cones. We'll first introduce the pup, to that scent of decomp. And, they'll show an interest, and you reward them and you just start building it up that way. And as you hide it in a block, they'll do this head turn first. You reward them, eventually get them to do the sit. Some dogs will have a bark alert. My dogs are passive. I have had 2 others that had a bark alert. The 2 girls that I have right now are very passive as far as they're gentle, they sit, stay. So with cadaver dogs, it's decomp. They don't know who they're looking for. Okay, it's not like a bloodhound or a working dog where you give them a scent article, that's the person they're supposed to find, period. With cadaver work, it's all on decomposition.
What's the depth that the dog's able to scent to? What's the depth that you're discovering?
Okay, well, in water they can go down to 25 feet, but it also depends,
Wow,
of course, on water temperature, type of water, salt versus regular, fresh water. It depends on the weather, depends on the time of day. Your sun goes up, the higher the sun, the higher the scent goes. So on different, we can go burials, I'm going to say 6 feet. They can go deeper. Concrete, they can go through. But also, again, what plays a role is how the body was disposed of.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I can tell you've trained a lot of people.
So I really like that. So Laura, I assume you've been out in the field with the team. How do you take what you've learned as witnessing and training with them and apply it toward your side of laying groundwork and getting content and foundational information that can help them be successful?
Usually when we've been contacted, even by some of the police agencies, they've been known to ask for the wrong type of dogs. They want the bloodhounds out when they actually want cadaver dogs. And so it's a 30-second thing of educating them, saying, no, this is what you need. But also how large is the area that needs to be searched? Is this going to be multiple searches over the course of several days? That type of thing. And if they want the cadaver dogs, me personally, I need a reason why they feel they need the cadaver dogs. Is there any indications that the person is deceased or could possibly be deceased? And that plays plays a big role in that.
So Laura, tell us about some of the successes you've had.
We have for my team or for both teams.
Let's have your team, and then let's have Wendy cover some of the successes her team has had.
Okay. With my team, I'm trying to think of some of them off the top I can talk about. We have brought home several teenagers that got into bad situations thinking that they were going to be with friends, and it didn't turn out that way. And our tech person was able to locate them, and we were able to call the police, and they were back home within 24 hours.
Wendy, what about you and your team?
We've had several over the years. A lot of it, unfortunately, is on deceased parts. We've made finds after other teams have gone out, and we get called in then. We're a resource here, but we have made some incredible finds. They're hard things to talk about as far as, because what we do is it's a bittersweet. It's hard, but I'll tell you what, when you get to make that phone call and closure, it really is pretty amazing.
Yeah, so share one of those success stories.
Okay, so we had one where when we went out, the family, the state had gone in. They didn't have the success. Law enforcement and the family called us out to come out. I went out with 3 dogs and 2 handlers, myself and another handler. And the mother of her son, she was actually dying of cancer. The sister was distraught. And, I sat there in the afternoon at their house and I watched the sun go down. And I was trying to get a feel for him on what direction he would have gone to. And I gathered a lot of information from the family. And a lot of it is we listen to the family because they know the person better than anybody. Okay. So that's what I did. And I went out and I sent the dogs in this certain direction. And sure enough, we found him. And it started to snow as soon as we found him. And we had to wait for law enforcement to come on out, came out and then took it from there. But the family then called and asked, would you take us to the place where he was? And that's a really hard thing to do. You don't want to bring him there, and you do want to bring him there. And it was a blizzard when we all went out. And I did show them the area. But it gave them peace. It gave them a lot of peace.
I can sure see why the family would want to go to the spot where they died, though. That's really a beautiful story. Thank you for what you do. Chris, I didn't mean to sideline us and go off in that direction, but I wanted to hear that before we moved to Colorado.
Yeah, no, it's we have some great success out there. I know some of it you can't talk about, and we're not going to talk about it. We totally respect that and understand that. But your dog did have an alert, if I'm correct, right, Wendy?
Yes.
And that two of your dogs.
Correct.
So tell us their names and about them.
Molly and Tempe, they're a mother-daughter team. Molly has much more experience over the years than Tempe. Both of them, it was kind of interesting to watch what they did there. Almost as if we were training. Tempe hit first, and I just kind of walked over and I had her go off to one side, and I called Molly. Molly went to the exact same place and I'm far away, so I never creep up on my dogs. I let them just do their thing, and then I called her away. I stepped way back, and I'm looking around, and then I gave her, her orders to go to work, and she went right back to the same place.
How many successful alerts has Molly had?
Ooh. Um, I can't give you an exact number on that.
A bunch, right? A lot.
But well, yeah, let's break it down. How about in training? In
Yeah.
training, how many times where you've known the answer and you've watched that dog work, how many times could you say, or is there a percentage you'd rather say?
I would have to say she's like 95%.
In the court system, is Molly recognized in what states?
Colorado, and not here that I'm trying to think. Yeah, most of our cases have been in Colorado, believe it or not.
So that's important, right? That's important for our viewers to understand, Mike, right? So whenever a witness is asked to testify as an expert in a court trial, they go through a voir dire process. And in that process, right, Mike, where the defense and the prosecution and the judge can just pound you with questions about the validity of your ability to testify as an expert. The dog handlers go through the same process about testifying to the abilities of the canine, of the dog. And they have these, and you have a training book, right?
I had 3 other border collies. Unfortunately, they have now passed away. They are recognized. Molly is related to those same border collies. So this is our second wave of dogs coming through. So when I have been called and subpoenaed, you have to, give them all your background, all your certs, all your dog's information. They want to see training logs.
In the very state that you're an expert, your dog was alerting, and this dog is in the high 90 percentiles rate of places where you know the answer. How does law enforcement respond when you say, I've had a positive alert in this location? And we know in of course the case in Colorado that we all recently became friends through, that they have taken it seriously because you can't talk about it still. But what's that relationship like, and how does that work?
It's been very respectful. Especially when they know that I follow the ICS system. So all my reports are done. They have photos. Everything is timed. Everything that has been said out there, anybody that has been walking with me, if they've walked, what things have come up. So anything that they could possibly be able to use. But everything is written down. And my logs, I've had up to 16 pages on reports. That comes from the fire department, report writing. And all that goes to the DAs. And then they go through everything and they submit it into the judge. And that's how that works. But it's more on being proven and showing your training logs. That is like the most important thing to them. They want to see, they want proof of how you've been training and what you've been training on.
Yeah, no, this is so obviously the elephant in the living room here, the question is, we're not going to go into location, but there is obviously your dogs alerted while you were on the search with the Colorado search volunteers out there, and your dog found what you believe to be an alert on human remains. Would that be accurate?
When you're talking about something buried, I don't know where that soil has come from. I don't know we've had it where we've had hits and then they dig down and a pamper comes up. We've had where somebody has urinated in a 7-Up cup. So dogs are awesome tools. They are not 100%.
Right.
They are great tools to clear areas, because if nothing's there, nothing's there.
No, that's a great answer. That's exactly the answer I was looking for, because if it isn't, okay, then there's going to be something there that explains it. What else is in that category that it could have been?
Again, you never know if until there's soil testing.
Exactly.
Examples.
The investigators now have to process that area, don't they?
As far as I know, yes.
Yeah.
And in your opinion, if that area was there was a decision not to dig that area, but a private party could get permission to dig that up, would you still want that area excavated if law enforcement decided it shouldn't be?
My recommendation is, I guess it goes back to old training of, try before you pry, is come on out and bring out another handler and dog, see what happens. Bring out your sonar, do some sample testing before you tear up people's places, I would want to be 100% sure. Again, it's, there's many factors that can play into this. Okay, where are all the sewage lines? There's houses around there. Where are their septics? Are they on sewer? Or are they on septic? What? Oh.
Well, I like to say the universe is on schedule sometimes. And what's interesting though is you guys Molly just kind of fell into this. If I remember right? I mean, you guys weren't even specifically looking for this one geographic area. And then, so Molly falls into it, but so did your other dog. Didn't they both pretty much go to the exact same spot?
Yes, I think.
What are the odds of that? What are the odds of that? I'm just curious. I mean, with all your experience, and what are the odds of when the dogs went to that spot that the authorities showed up right behind you, didn't they?
Yeah. It was definitely different. Put it that way. I was pretty shocked because we were actually heading back to the car, and then I looked over and I was like, "Uh-oh."
And weren't they asking you, how did you end up in this area?
Yes. Totally by accident.
That's
all right. Without putting the two of you on pressure anymore, and we're going to turn off the lamp. We want to just tell you how much we really appreciate the fact that you're willing to come on. There are ways in which people can get through to you. If you look down below, folks, you'll see some links to get to the Facebook page, which will take you to Truth Seekers and Special Ops, and you'll be able to make contact. I would assume, Laura, that both you and Wendy, if people are interested in learning more about this art and trade, that you would also be able to give them some direction on how to join your group.
Yes.
Wendy, how to start learning how to become a handler and to test dogs. So I assume they can just go through one point, the Facebook page down below, and at least start that conversation to get to both of you. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Could I bring up one more thing?
Certainly.
We worked a case in Colorado, the Lee Porter case. And we have been with his family for approximately a little over 6 years. And one thing that I would like for people to take a look at, Lee is still missing. Her killer confessed. He's in prison. And she's hidden. And Wendy has made 10 searches looking for her remains.
Wow.
And so Wendy and I, with Lee's mom, wrote a law that we would like to have people sign. It's on change.org, I believe. It's called Lee's Law, that would make it harder for people to get out of jail in 20 years when they've hidden the body.
Nope.
And it also addresses, no body, no parole. It also addresses human trafficking for the same reason. And if people could take a look at that, I would greatly appreciate it.
That's a great
Thank you
law
for
to
sharing.
add that piece of, if you're going to confess to a crime, but they can't locate the body, then you should never be paroled. I would be
Exactly.
behind that
That's
100%. That's fantastic.
Thank
Wendy,
you.
anything you'd like to add?
I don't know. As far as canines, I'm probably one of the few people that work multiple, and that
Mhm.
is for the court. So if you have one dog that makes an alert, that's okay. If I have 4 or 5, the odds are pretty good out there that we're going to get a warrant and be able to get onto that property and law enforcement.
I'll tell you, I'm just fascinated by these two, and I want to come back at some point if you would. And when you get an adjudicated case, I know you're in trial on some cases, that some very high profile stuff, and we're not going to talk about it. But at the conclusion of those, the disposition, we certainly would love to have you back and talk about, how you got into those cases as well. So thank you so much for your time. You're absolutely fascinating. I'm grateful that I get to call you friends now. So this has been fun. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Laura. And Chris, I don't say this often, but my sister actually was part of that core of people that started Rocky Mountain Search and Rescue Dogs.
Wow.
And so I watched this all through my law enforcement career, and it became great Thanksgiving banter to really talk about whether a dog could find something underwater. How much we appreciate you, and honestly, you are recovering people all around the world every
Yes.
single day, and it's not voodoo witchcraft; it's real, and we're so grateful for what you do. And to all of you that watch, thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody. Subscribe button down there.